This is a video to show you how to use the Eraser app for atlases, pendants, pretty much all of the personalized items that we do here at Plunder. So, and to get out of my gallery. Now the Eraser app can be downloaded with Google Play or the Apple Store. I have not paid for it. It has a few ads, but not very many. So going to load a photo from your gallery or your photos, however that works with whatever phone you're on. So I'm going to start with a dog. So it brings you to where you would crop it. So you're going to take as much as the background away as possible without hurting the image. So here's the dog. So you'll notice that the cursor and the eraser is in the middle. You don't want to start there, so we're going to move it to the side. Now, you can decrease your cursor offset so it makes the cursor and the eraser closer together. And if you don't like where you've started, you can come to the bottom and you'll see this backwards arrow or a forwards arrow. It's redo and undo. So we're going to undo that line. It could have stayed because it's just over the background, but I took it off to show you. So the manual size down here of your eraser circle is where you want to be. You don't want big to start unless maybe you have a box to do, something with a straight edge. You could maybe do bigger, but I like to start small just to make sure you get all the edge that you need. So then we're going to start erasing the edge of the dog. So you just want to be careful because every time you touch this cursor, it moves. And you don't want to cut off too much of the fur of the dog. Like there's a spot where you can see the background in the back. That's okay, we'll fix it later. But you don't want to cut off too much fur because it's part of the dog. So we're just going to go up and over. And even if you didn't get as close as you wanted to the edge of the fur, that's okay, we'll fix it later. So we're just going to erase the edge of the dog. So now that the dog is outlined, you want to come back down here and increase your cursor eraser to bigger. Oops, didn't want to do that. So we're going to go down here and undo those lines. I might make the cursor offset a little smaller. It gives you more control if it's closer together. It's entirely up to you. So now we're just going to erase the background. I'm going to jump back over here and do this side. The edge of the dog gives you some leeway because you then don't go back over it. So I left those entirely open just to show you. You can also change the background color from white to gray. So now we're going to go over to done, and you're going to see all these spots. The spots are just to show you what you've missed and how you can correct it. So I usually do a white background, but it's entirely up to you how you see it better. So now I'm going to come back over here to fix the background that I missed. And you can see the little spots that were missed, and you can fix them. So now we're going to hit done again, and we're going to come back over here and we're going to smooth the edge. At the bottom, it goes 0 to 5. I never really have to use 5 unless it's so detailed that you need, you really need to smooth out everything that you might have not come close enough. So it's basically if you didn't get close enough to the edge of the item that you're erasing, then the 5 will cover the edge for you. So now the dog is pretty much smoothed out the way I want it to be. And then we're going to hit save. And the image is saved. And then finish. So I'm going to do a person for you or people. So here it is in recent. You can always go to your gallery. And for me, it's easier to have my photos in albums, even in a gallery. Like I have some in Facebook party, I have my daughter's graduation, I have different Facebooks, I have my dad, backgrounds, downloads, screenshots. So it's really up to you how you want to do this. Each app though is going to create its own folder. Anyway, so let's go back up to people. That's my husband and our daughter when she was little. Crazy faces. So we're going to crop the outside as much as you can and hit done. And then we're going to start over here. Again, you decrease your circle erasers so that it is as small as you're comfortable with, so you can get the edges closer without too much. So just going to go on the edge, and like in here, her bib is much smaller to the top. So I just decreased the cursor size or the eraser size to get in there without erasing too much of the fabric. So just going to go around her little head. And you can go back over. Like the smooth part might actually fix that. So we'll leave that and see what happens. So I just dinged her head. Didn't mean to do that. Poor baby. So I made the cursor or the eraser circle smaller so I could get in between their two heads. Then I'll make it a little bigger. And I tend to start out and come back in so I don't erase any part of the image. And you can fix it by undoing it, but sometimes it's just easier. So now here's an ear. So we're going to make the eraser circle smaller so that you can get in there. I think I did too much. So come back out, go back in, and then come back around, do his shirt. And you probably come back and make it a little bigger because don't need it so small. It's just really paying attention to detail. So there's that. So now I'm going to try and get in here. You can see like a little bit of sunlight. I know I hit her in the eye, and that's okay because we're trying to get in the middle right there. So I'm gonna have to undo all these little dots and then very carefully Because like I said, anytime you touch this, it's going to move. So very carefully hit gently the middle so that you can just take out that center. And then come back to the edge, and now we're going to erase the background, increase the cursor. Not so much, because you still have some crevices that you have to hit. And you don't want it to be too big, otherwise you'll erase more than you intended. Oops. And don't go too fast, because if you go too fast, you'll end up erasing things you didn't mean to. And though you can undo it, it just will take longer to finish. Practice, patience is the key. So then we're going to erase everything in the background. I might actually turn this into a keychain for my husband, because this is like his favorite photo. So then I probably should have cropped this down here. Oh well. We'll just erase the bottom. See, even if you missed to crop something, you can always fix it later. So there. Go back here. So I missed some things. Gonna go fix them. That's why I changed the background so that you can see. The darker the background, you can't really see what you missed. So that's why I do the lighter. Click done. That might be too much. See, it really depends on what you're doing. So I did a 3, but it took more down than I wanted to. So I'm just going to do 2 this time. And then save it. Finish. And one more. Because this one I had to, I actually had to do some different things too. Okay, there they are. So this one can't be cropped. So we're just going to do done. And then we're just going to start doing erasing the outline, or doing an outline in eraser. Again, you want to make sure you don't do heads. You make sure that you don't do too much hair. His collar. And you can always do the background while you're here, so you don't have to do it later. But I like to do the edges completely before I erase the background. But again, it's entirely up to you what you want to do. So we're just going to do her hair. And then the background. And there you have it. Smooth out the edges, and if you have little dots in the background, the smoother will take those out too. So this is done. I'm gonna change something, and you can do this too. This is more advanced. So I'm going to erase her from him, and I'll show you why later. So now they're kind of apart. And I will get to that of why I did that later on. So save it, finish it, and you're done. And that is Eraser.